You picked up your phone before you even opened your eyes this morning. You did not decide to do that. It just happened. And somewhere in the back of your skull, before the alarm had even fully registered, your brain had already started searching, scrolling, checking, hunting for something it could not name. That feeling is not weakness. It is not laziness. It is one of the oldest survival systems ever built into a living creature, now pointed directly at things that are slowly killing you. Here is what nobody tells you about dopamine. It is not the pleasure chemical. That is the story you were told, and it is wrong. Dopamine does not make you feel good. Dopamine makes you want. And those two things, wanting and feeling good, are not the same thing at all. In fact, they can be complete opposites, and that gap between them is where addiction lives, where burnout is born, and where the modern world has learned to reach inside your skull and pull. Neuroscientist Kent Berridge at the University of Michigan spent years mapping this distinction. He called it the difference between wanting and liking. Two separate systems, two separate brain circuits. And here is the terrifying part. Your wanting system can be running at full power even when your liking system feels absolutely nothing. You can desperately want something you do not even enjoy. Your brain has been doing this to you your whole life, and you never noticed because it happens below the level of conscious thought. To understand why, you have to go back, not a few decades, not a few centuries. You have to go back roughly 2 million years, to a version of you that lived on the open savanna of what is now Eastern Africa. That ancestor did not have a phone. There was no sugar aisle. There was no notification badge glowing red in the corner of a screen. What that version of you had was a brain designed for one purpose: do not die. And in a world where food was scarce, where predators were real, and where a single good decision could mean the difference between your bloodline continuing or ending, the brain needed a powerful engine to keep you moving. Dopamine was that engine. Every time your ancient ancestors saw movement in the grass, possible prey, dopamine fired. Not after the catch, before it. The brain flooded with wanting before the outcome was known, because in that environment, hesitation was death. The reward signal existed to make you chase, to keep you hungry, to make the pursuit itself feel urgent, almost irresistible. Research published in the journal Neuron by Wolfram Schultz at the University of Cambridge showed that dopamine neurons fire most intensely, not at the moment of reward, but at the moment a reward is predicted. The anticipation is the hit, the chase is the drug, and the brain barely cares what you are chasing as long as the signal keeps coming. This is the engine underneath everything. Your ancestors used it to track animals across kilometers of open land. They used it to remember where the fruit trees were, to push through exhaustion and hunger, to outcompete every other species that ever walked this planet. Dopamine is the reason you exist. Without it, your lineage would have stopped moving, and stopping meant starving. But now look at what that same system is aimed at in the year you are living in. Infinite scroll is not a design accident. The platforms that built it know exactly what they did. Every new post, every image, every notification is a prediction cue, the same neural trigger your ancestor felt when the grass moved. Your dopamine system cannot tell the difference between tracking prey and tracking likes. It fires the same way. It feels the same way. Urgent, necessary, just one more. Sugar is another story. In the environment your brain was built for, sweetness was a signal: calories, energy, survival. Your taste buds and your reward circuits evolved together to make sweet things feel important, because in a world without agriculture, sweetness was rare. Finding it was a genuine survival event. Now that signal fires every time you open a bag of anything. Your brain still treats it as a windfall, a biological emergency in reverse, not scarcity, but the ghost of scarcity still haunting every bite. And then there is gambling. There is a specific pattern your dopamine system finds almost impossible to ignore. It is called a variable ratio reinforcement schedule, and it was described by behavioral psychologist B.F. Skinner in the 1950s, a rat in a box, a lever. Sometimes the lever gives a pellet, sometimes it does not. Sometimes it gives nothing for 10 presses, then 3 in a row. That unpredictability, that is what breaks the rat. The animal presses the lever compulsively, past hunger, past exhaustion, past any rational reason to keep going, because the not knowing is exactly what the dopamine system was built for. The maybe is more powerful than the yes. And this is where it becomes a question not just of neuroscience, but of something older. In ancient Greece, philosophers described a concept they called akrasia, acting against your own better judgment, knowing what is good for you and choosing otherwise anyway. Aristotle wrote about it in the Nicomachean Ethics around 350 BCE. He could not explain it. He called it a failure of will. He had no framework for what was actually happening because he could not see the machinery underneath. He did not know about dopamine. He did not know about wanting circuits and liking circuits, about reinforcement schedules and receptor downregulation. But he was describing exactly this: the gap between knowing and doing, the space where the oldest system in your brain overrules the newest one. Your prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain that plans, reasons, weighs consequences, is evolutionarily young. It was the last structure to be added, and it is the first to be overridden when the older systems activate. When dopamine fires hard, the prefrontal cortex does not win. It watches, it comments. It might even narrate what is happening in real time. I should not be doing this. I said I would stop. Why am I still here? And then you keep scrolling anyway. Because the engine that built you does not care about your 5-year plan. It cares about the moving grass. It cares about the maybe. It cares about the chase. So, what do you do with this? Lemke's clinical work points towards something counterintuitive. The answer is not willpower. The answer is not motivation. It is not a better productivity system or a stronger morning routine. The answer is abstinence from the high stimulation source long enough for your baseline to reset, what she calls a dopamine fast, not forever. Just long enough for your receptors to recover, for the baseline to rise, for the ordinary world to start feeling like something again. Her research with patients in recovery from addiction shows this reset takes roughly 4 weeks for most people. 4 weeks of reduced stimulation before the world begins to taste like anything. They were resetting the same system. They just called it by different names. You are not broken. You are not weak. You are an ancient machine running in a world it was never designed for, chasing signals that were useful once and are now weaponized against you by industries that understand your brain better than you do. The brain that woke you up this morning reaching for your phone, that is the same brain that kept your ancestors alive on the open savanna for 2 million years. It wanted, and it chased, and it survived. The question now is whether you will decide what it chases next. Tonight, when you reach for your phone before your eyes are fully open, you will know what that feeling actually is. Not desire, not need, not you. Just the oldest engine in the world, still running, still hunting, still completely convinced that the grass just moved.